What's going on, my beautiful people? Flawless Exotic Creations coming to you guys with another video this week, and this is going to be a fun video, guys. We want you to hang around and I don't know, comment down below if you've experienced some of this. Tell us your first-hand experience when dealing with any of these topics. The main basis of this video is going to be debunking the 5 most common myths about ball pythons. We see a lot in the community, and then we're getting now to experience a lot of this firsthand. So we want to be able to stay in touch with our grassroots growth here and keep our channel and our brand based on the approach of entry-level breeders, as well as hopefully, you know, keep a few of you intermediate experienced breeders kind of hanging around for the support as well. Some of this knowledge you're already going to know. But there's a lot of viewers that watch us that don't even have ball pythons, and we love that because maybe we can make their non-ball python owner experience a little better to maybe kind of push them over the edge to maybe get their first ball python or first reptile period, no matter what it may be, right? That's definitely one of the big things. So as I sit here and talk to you guys on the first topic, I'm gonna try to do it without getting bit myself and trying to explain this topic, right? So one of the first myths are that ball pythons are aggressive. Ball pythons are not aggressive by nature. This beautiful super inchy OD leopard hypopod 50% het for ultramale female here is just grabbed her out of her tub, sat her up here. Now she's kind of just looking around trying to see what's going on, right? You see this big heat object with just myself kind of lurking over top. And I mean, honestly, she may be intrigued, but she's scared. And to get her more and more comfortable, you want to basically pick them up, look them over, and just let them know that it's okay, right? They're not aggressive. A lot of what we do for our fear response, right, is we think that the slower movements is gonna hopefully make sure that we don't scare them, we don't, you know, surprise them. But when we move like this, we're actually enticing them to strike. You can actually see her if you're up close, like kind of following me because I'm the heat. But that's our natural response as new keepers or enthusiasts or anyone that's interested into the hobby. And maybe you have a soft fear of snakes or reptiles in general. So we have to understand that, you know, basic science is we're a bigger object and they're ultimately scared of the bigger object. They're ball pythons. So they're either going to strike in defense or they're going to strike as a feeding response. If you have the scent of rodents on you, whether mice or rats, or they're going to ball up into a ball and pretty much hide their head, which is what they do a lot. These are all the things you want to take into consideration when dealing with ball pythons, period. But in general, this is a myth. The natural approach when we take them out of their enclosures or their tubs is we just reach up there and grab them. You know, no hesitation, no sharp, super fast movements, but no slow and deliberate movements either. You kind of are soliciting a response, meaning a striking response. So again, just to wrap that up, most ball pythons are very calm and docile. We've never had an aggressive ball python as of yet to this day. And again, we're only speaking from our experience. I can't speak for anyone else's experience in handling or keeping ball pythons. What I will say is right now, currently, we have roughly about 200 grow outs and breeders here. We currently have over 250 hatchlings. So we're in the range of higher 4s, almost 500 ball pythons. And we don't have a single aggressive or mean ball python. We get a lot of questions on temperament, which kind of sparked a lot of this kind of research on the videos. You also know that Audra had a huge fear of ball pythons, and here it is, we're in our 3rd year. You guys don't see Audra a lot, but she helps me so much. None of this would be possible if we didn't have our team here at Flawless. I need my wife as my partner in this, and it just works flawlessly. but she works with the snakes just as much as I do. She's cleaning, she's holding, I'm cleaning. We're doing this as a really a tag team approach. The kids, the whole family is involved with the cleaning and the care of every single one of these ball pythons. And I say all that because the kids have never been bit at all. Audra has never been bit at all, and I've been bit twice, and both times it was my own fault. Comment down below, I'll go into detail, maybe in another video, really short story, but I don't want to get off topic of this specific video of debunking common myths. So next up is myth number 2. Ball pythons won't eat in captivity. Obviously, that is completely false. Now, there are certain things that can deter a ball python from eating, aside from them not wanting to eat. Ball pythons have been known to sporadically go on a food strike here or there. There are several things that you can try, but ultimately your ball python has to want to eat in order for it to eat. Some of the things that can help that kind of progress is them feeling safe. Guys, yes, in the wild, you know, they can roam around and go these different places, but they like small, confined spaces. That's what makes them feel secure and safe. So that's something that in captivity, you're going to want to try to replicate if you can do so. And it would definitely encourage them to eat. You wouldn't have everyone breeding ball pythons, keeping ball pythons if, you know, they won't eat, because ultimately they won't be able to stay alive. Now, that being said, they can be picky eaters. It can be tough to get them kind of going on frozen thawed. We don't have any experience with frozen thawed. We feed live. Sometimes we may take an approach and try to feed freshly killed if we are contacted by a customer that's going to go the frozen thawed route. Then we'll try to kind of help them get jump started if we know in advance, and we'll do freshly killed and offer on tongues. We try to do everything in our power to make sure that we can assist all of our customers get these guys established once they receive their new pet or their new project animal, whatever it may be. We want to be able to apply everything we do across the board, whether it's for pet keeping or for breeding purposes. Another thing before we get off of this common myth is another thing that can affect your ball python not eating in captivity could be their temperature. Not only just your hot spot, but also your ambient temperatures. What's the temperature in your room? Are you keeping your temperature, if it's in your home, you know, 68, 65 degrees? It may be too cold in their ambient temperature and they're not able to radiate, you know, their heat temps even from their hot spot. Their hot spot may be a good temp, but once they're deciding to get off of that heat and go and try to cool off a little, maybe it's too cold. So you got to make sure that you're keeping that in mind as well when you're setting up your enclosures. And the last thing before we move on would be for the breeder setups. If you keep your husbandry consistent, it can definitely prevent like the long-term fasting of your ball python. We experienced that in hand-selected few snakes, and now we don't experience that as much, maybe because we have some experience, but we did a long video actually about that tub size, enclosure size, making them feel safe. So you may want to go back, binge watch some of our content and locate that video and check it out, because it's very informative and helpful. Now we're going to go over to myth number 3, which again, here at Flawless, we prefer, from what we've been seeing, smaller enclosures, smaller tubs, and then we want to test the waters, and because we want to graduate them up into them breeder size tubs faster, hopefully sooner rather than later. But a lot of the time you have to listen to your snakes to see what they're feeling comfortable in. But another myth is bigger enclosures stress your snakes out. Now, in general, yes, it can stress them out, but there's proper precautions you can take to keep that from happening. You want to make sure if you have a big enclosure, a fancy enclosure, and you want to show your ball python off, then you want to make sure that your humidity is kept consistent where it needs to be, 50 to 60%, to make sure and ensure you have proper shedding. Your temperatures are good, like we spoke about previously, as well as you're going to want to have several different hides all around your enclosure. If it's really big enclosure, you may even want more than one hot spot in that enclosure. You want to make sure that they have plenty of hiding space, a good spot where, or a few spots where they can go and warm up. And long as they're having that coverage area in there and all those different hiding spots, they'll figure out what's their favorite spot to kind of hang out and chill. And for the most part, as long as there's multiple locations for their needs, they should be okay in a rather larger enclosure. Now, myth number 4, right? We've actually been asked this in the past, and I don't know how you can really keep a ball python alive if you don't have this kind of figured out. Basically saying that ball python, myth number 4, ball pythons don't need proper humidity. Yeah, they do. So without the humidity being within a certain range, you know, here in the vault, we actually have a smart facility set up where we can control the humidity here. We can push it up, we can bring it down, we can set it on the schedule, which is what we do have it on the schedule, as well as the temperature in here. We actually set it up when we built this facility. We have 2 mini splits, and the reason behind that, we were gonna do one, and it's very, very big. Both of them are very big. They can really power the entire facility. We don't have a very large facility. It's just efficient. And when we had our HVAC come in and do a walkthrough, he said, hey, you should go with 2 units. And I said, all right, perfect. But my original plan was to go with 2 units in case one fails. We have one that will continue to run and maintain the collection. And again, talking to the professionals and getting professional advice is key here, because he actually advised, no, that's not the way that we should do it. He said, get 2 units, run both units. That way, if you have an issue with a unit and it fails or it needs service, you still have the other unit that's running full power and can take care of all your needs while you're servicing the other. The reason why you don't want to run one, you know, consistently, and then you run into a problem, it's like, all right, crank up the other, and you figure out the other one ain't working, or you have issues there, or you got to troubleshoot it because it hasn't been running the entire time. So I said, wow, learn something in that scenario. But yes, ball pythons are going to need consistent 50% to 60% humidity. If you're having trouble with shedding, you can give them a nice soak. You need to make sure that you're adhering to those guidelines, or you'll run into respiratory issues, and you don't want to run into respiratory issues. I don't want to run into respiratory issues because then that also leads to more visits to the vet. In all of our vet visits, we have a really, really good vet, but he's very plain language when he talks to us, and he's like, all right, I know all these surgical procedures and this, that, and the third, but a lot of the specific care requirements and needs, the vet actually has no knowledge because it's very animal specific. Again, that's another video. We probably can go down that rabbit hole. All right, guys, and you guys already know myth number 5, ball pythons are only for beginners. We're still teetering in that beginner intermediate area. We currently, I want to say, first year was 43 clutches, second year was 33 clutches, this year was 49 so far clutches. I mean, at the end of the day, we've hatched, I would say, getting close to 1,000 ball pythons. That's insane in only 3 years of breeding. Obviously, we don't still have 1,000 plus ball pythons, which is awesome. But ball pythons are not just for beginners. Actually, contrary to belief, I think it's rather a tougher species of snake for a beginner with lack of knowledge of the species. That's where these videos like this comes in. There's so many places nowadays to get your information, right? You can get it from us. We like to throw our disclaimer out there. Hopefully everyone's in agreement, but we're speaking to you firsthand knowledge of what we may know on a specific topic, whether we had to bump our heads and learn it, or we was able to gather from the World Wide Web the information we needed, and we try to keep it nice and concise and deliver it to you guys in a manner that it can be widely absorbed and utilized for your own needs without you having to go out there and bump your head. We did this entire business startup, the building of the vault. Everybody knows that, you know, this was pretty much piggybacked off our other business, Flawless Crested Geckos. If you guys are in Tinley Park area, we are actually vending this week at NARBC show. We consider it the Super Bowl of reptile expos, and We've been vending it for a few years now. We were waitlisted for a few years prior before getting in, and we love making that trip and vending this show. So we will not be vending with the ball pythons. We are only vending with the crested geckos. That's a part of the business plan and the marketing and promotion and advertisement and just overall business growth. If you've seen some of our previous videos, guys, we let you guys know we finally announced we're gonna vend for the very first time with Flawless Exotic Creations. Is going to be Daytona. So it's a long time off, but we're going to do it in a big way. Super excited about it. We're hatching out some amazing animals that, yeah, probably going to see in Daytona, which will be really cool. We'll probably record a video while we're down there if we can get the kids to come down with us as well. We'll probably have, I don't know, 3 or 4 tables and see, because we're also going to have Flawless Crested Geckos down there. So we're trying to do it in a very big way, but we want to make sure that our information was accurate from what we see and not only what we research on the World Wide Web, and hopefully be a positive to the community and putting this information out. If you're searching for these different types of things, especially some of the very beginning part of this video on the approach of ball pythons and, you know, them being aggressive, that's huge. 90% of the time, if we're getting questions from a beginner keeper, it's always, is this snake mean? Is this snake aggressive? And again, we can't answer that for the entire community. We can only answer that in the almost 1,000 snakes that's been through our facility and our care. And we haven't had a single mean snake yet. I'm not saying that they aren't out there. It's just probably going to be very rare that you find a mean snake. So with some of these tips in your approach on handling and care, maybe you can prevent a bad interaction with a ball python or with a snake, period. And that's pretty much the big message and a big bonus to hopefully grab from this video. And hopefully you're doing very well. Come check us out in Tinley, in Illinois, NARBC. We're at booth 1216. It's Will, Flawless Exotic Creations. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Join the membership here. If you're not a member, you'll love to be a part of the Flawless family, especially with a lot of this educational and informational content that we're dropping. And hopefully we will see you this week. But we're out.